Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Throwdown for the week of February 21st, 2021. As always, I'm Caleb Black. This is Luke the Big Dog Williams, along with our in-studio producer, the mighty Max Fury. And we are recording this Sunday, February 21st, after a week-long sabbatical, which really means we've been out of the game for 2 weeks, because we record up to that week. So, Luke, how was your Sunday? How have your last couple weeks been?
Sick as a dog.
Yep.
Better.
Yep.
Sick as a dog.
Yep.
Better.
Yep.
Angry.
Yep.
And now I'm here.
Are you better?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Max, how was your Sunday? How were your last couple of weeks?
It's been long. It's been exhausting. It's been what it
It's
is.
been long and exhausting.
This
Yeah.
grave is sex tape.
Not all I can say.
Times of sex tape. Guys, it's time to get into the news. Welcome to What's News in Wrestling for the week of February 21st, 2021. Got a lot going on these past couple of weeks. Good heavens. Vince McMahon not giving raises to the staff of the WWE due to poor quarterly earnings, even though this was their best fiscal year reported in history.
Yeah, and I'm glad that doesn't refer to the talent, first and foremost. Now, I understand.
No, the talent got fucked by losing their second party deals.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is they didn't need anything else more on top of that. It does suck that that they can pocket all that money, considering the fact that the WWE Network was just sold to NBC
For $1 billion.
for $1 billion. Yet they can't find the money to give their office.
And it's only like $1 billion for 5 years, which means they're paying $200 million a year to have the WWE library.
Right. Well, and not only that, but
Ridiculous.
well, I mean, some people I've been on we've both been on the inner workings
Yep.
of how wrestling works
Yep.
behind the curtain, and the only company I could see that you could viably not give a raise to would be Creative, because Creative has been so shitty within the last year span. Now, but your road agents deserve a raise.
Yep.
Because let's face it, everyone who works for WWE's production staff risks their health.
Yep.
Every week, numerous times a week.
Yeah. Your camera crew, your driver, I mean,
Your ring crew.
everything down to the very last guy. And here's the thing. I get it. I know they haven't sold any in-person tickets. Their merch sales are suffering because nobody in the country's working. You know, I get it. But they're not hemorrhaging money.
No.
They just made $1 billion.
No, and you look at the within the last couple of weeks, you've had several wrestlers re-signed for new deals.
Mm-hmm.
Cesaro being the one that comes to mind the most, who just recently re-signed because he was holding out.
Yep.
Because and rightfully so.
Yeah.
That he wasn't wanting to take one of those bullshit contracts that they've been offering everybody. And when Vince McMahon found out that Cesaro was being looked at by AEW and Japan, he was like, sign that man.
Well, and it's not like Vince is doing the talent freeze or the talent bumps like he was initially with AEW's run. But he's got to realize, too, I think after the second party deal came through, that the prospects are looking better for their top guys. AEW is still planning on expanding.
Yes.
To a second show, which means they've got plenty of room for top talent. They've got plenty of room to bring guys over, and they're willing to pay the money.
Right.
I mean, that's obvious. Look at the guys they're paying now. So, of course, AEW would be interested, and especially now, considering the collective we always refer to with NJPW, Impact, AEW.
Or the Forbidden Door.
Yeah, the Forbidden Door. Stupidest name ever. We'll get back to that later. But with that on the horizon, obviously there's room for star power.
Right.
And you want star power, especially that translate in this market, and Cesaro is one of the many guys who do.
Correct.
So, but I'm also not surprised that he resigned. Look, a lot of fans will say, oh, man, he's just getting wasted there. No, he's getting paid there. And regardless of what you think about how he's being used, he's making money being a professional wrestler in a good situation where he's got rapport with the office and they're willing to pay him more.
Well, and it's not like he lives hand to mouth.
Right.
He's got his own coffee company.
Right.
He runs his own cafes. Not to mention, he gets paid by Xavier Woods and Up, Up, Down, Down to do all the stuff that he does for them. On top of the fact, he's Cesaro. He's one of the most recognizable professional wrestlers, honestly, in the last, 4 or 5 years? And he can still go. He's young enough to go. He's smart enough to go. And he's talented enough to go.
Needs the belt.
Keep that man.
Put the belt on him.
We'll talk about that later.
As we talk about the collective, Finn Juice, as I'm going to refer to them because I don't remember what their name, Juice Robinson and David Finlay have reportedly are now going to debut at Impact. I don't know that they've already
They did last week.
Did they debut last week? Okay. So that, again, we talked about this branching with NJPW.
Mm-hmm.
Another primary, and FinJuice is one of their top tag teams in their division. So, again, I kind of felt like we had a little bit of a snag where it slowed down, but they're picking right back up. And the news broke last week. Kazuchika Okada, the greatest wrestler in the world, and you can argue with me about that if you want to, but I promise you I'm right, will be debuting at some point in either AEW or Impact.
Not that it matters where he debuts.
Obviously, my money would definitely be to go to AEW. They can do a lot of resparking with him and Omega there. They can do a lot of different things with him there. We all saw what happened to him when he went to Impact. Same thing that happened to Shinsuke. Or, I'm sorry, when they were TNA. But the biggest name in NJPW is headed to America.
Well, here's the deal. Yes, probably one of the greatest of all time. I'm not going to say the greatest of all time.
No, the greatest in today.
That's in ring today. Yeah, he's definitely top 3 material in my opinion. One of the greatest champions of all time.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. If you're going to bring him in, you've got to bring him in the right way.
Yeah, I agree.
You've got to put a belt on this man.
Yeah.
That's just how that has to happen.
Yeah.
Now, here's the sad part. 2 years ago, we weren't on here 2 years ago.
Right.
But we were all talking, and all wrestling fans were like, Kenny Omega needs to be the AEW champion.
Yes.
He needs to be champion.
Yes.
And boy, how wrong we were.
Yeah.
He has been a detriment to the AEW championship.
I think it's been a little lackluster. I think it picked up right whenever he expanded, wanted to take the belt to Impact, but because there hasn't been that big follow-up we've been waiting on, I think that's where it kind of dies down.
Kenny Omega should have took the title from Chris Jericho at the height of that. That's how that should have been. Jon Moxley should have never been in the picture for the title as soon as they made him.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
Because then you had to force Kenny Omega to play this heel character to get the title.
Yeah.
He doesn't need that gimmick. He's liked by billions of fans around the world.
Oh, yeah.
But the worst part about that is now that they play in this gimmick, it's hard to get behind that character. It's hard to get behind the American version of the cleaner because it's not the same thing.
And, it's I don't want to it's hokey. The way he verbalizes things is hokey. He doesn't have that there was something different about him in 2017 in New Japan.
Yes.
And I think everybody kind of picks up on that.
Yes.
I think everybody can see that. What he did there in Japan, speaking the way he did there, it worked because of the language barriers and because it came off as kind of smarmy.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate to the American audience that way.
And here's the deal. I don't want to stay too much time on it because we have a lot of things.
Yeah, we got a few more.
But the thing that bothers me, I understand the Don Callis thing.
Yeah.
Because he's the Impact guy and that's how they bridged it together.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega is one of the wrestlers out there, one of the very few wrestlers out there who doesn't need a mouthpiece. The man can talk for himself. I've seen the interviews in Japan.
Yeah, he can talk.
He could get over just by giving that smirk at the camera and make you hate him or make you love him or make you do both at the same time, making you very confused about your sexuality.
Down to your sex.
Kind of like Max.
Sammy Guevara, actually, speaking of Impact, speaking of this collective, there was some news that dropped before where apparently Sammy Guevara had hit a snag in the road between what AEW wanted him to do with Impact, what Impact wanted him to do. He offered some counter options for them to do. There were some disagreement issues that were had, but apparently they've been resolved and they were exaggerated. The exaggeration comes from Sammy Guevara. Now, we don't know if that's him maybe covering it up. We also don't know if Meltzer just prematurely reported, hey, there's a difficulty here with creative, because that happens.
Well, yeah. Well, not just that, but I love being on YouTube and I love being on social media as what we do as professionals, both professional wrestlers and professional journalists in the wrestling business. However, the IWC takes one little thing
and they run with it.
Which on Sammy Guevara's vlog not too long ago, he's standing outside and he doesn't have a jacket on. He's shivering.
Yeah,
and the lady behind the camera is like, what are you doing? It's cold out here. And he's like, well, I thought because the IWC said that I had so much heat that I could come out without a jacket on. It was the perfect way to be like,
way to address it,
but at the same time, you can't take that shit and run with it if you don't know the situation.
Not to mention, too, it kind of makes me long for the days when fans weren't so intrusive. If they're having creative issues, maybe I don't give a shit. Maybe I just want to see what happens.
I don't care what this dude wants to do.
Yeah.
First off, it shouldn't be what that dude wants to do.
It's what you're getting paid.
You get paid, you get a check signed, whatever the boss says goes.
I agree.
Because and people give Vince McMahon a whole bunch of shit for that, but let's face it, his ship is ran the same way it has since the early 80s.
Yeah. Lacey Evans is pregnant. She's also in the It's in the Water COVID group of wrestling pregnancies, which happens again. All of these pregnancies have happened at some point. We're like, okay, so Becky Lynch, height of her run as the man, gets pregnant. Brandy Rhodes building up for this big match against Shaq, announces pregnancy. Lacey Evans involved in a storyline at least with Charlotte Flair, who's the best women's wrestler in the business, alongside Ric Flair, announces pregnancy.
See, I see it on a totally different scale, and that's I think Asuka's getting these women pregnant. Think about it.
Yeah, she's just
She was going to go up against Becky Lynch for the title. Becky Lynch gets pregnant, hands the title to Asuka. Asuka's going to wrestle Lacey Evans, which she's going to drop the title to Lacey Evans for her to wrestle Charlotte at Mania. Comes up pregnant.
Maybe she's just replacing all the birth control with Tic Tacs.
Ow, my hole.
Speaking of holes and being out about them, that didn't really play well.
That's all right.
Whatever. Bayley's no longer engaged.
No, she is not.
Aaron,
which means her hole is in play. Is that what you were trying to say? That's what you were trying to say. That is what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
I ain't wrong.
Oh, boy.
She's hot. What?
She is hot. Yeah, Bayley is now single. Her fiance from AEW, Aaron, was it Soko or Sokov?
He doesn't matter anymore.
Either way, put out a press release.
His name is Solo.
Solo, thank you. Put out a press release. Well, he's definitely Solo.
He's definitely low now, yeah.
Put out a press release. His and Bayley's future no longer have the same trajectory, so they've decided to end their engagement.
Low on my give a shit meter. Solo.
Which means you're saying there's a chance.
Which means Bayley, call me.
Yeah. Bad Bunny did show up on Saturday Night Live with the 24/7 title, just like Luke talked about.
Fantastic.
Another one we got right.
I still think that some cast members should have taken the title.
Yeah, it's good for cross-promotion. It's good for wrestling, the media. Scarlett Bordeaux's brother has been signed to the NXT Performance Center.
And Braun Strowman has already called him out on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
Braun Strowman, note to self, you couldn't beat Lesnar, you're not going to beat this kid.
And speaking of other kids that have been signed to the Performance Center, the rumor has it that Scott Steiner's son is on his way, which means we have another Steiner, another second-generation superstar in the fold.
Which means all goes to say that it was all a work all along and that Scott Steiner has always been in the fold.
And for the last bit of news, NXT has picked up two huge names, at least I consider them big names, for NXT setup. Taya Valkyrie has left Impact and has signed with NXT. They're going to get a whole new run of women's wrestlers in this division with Taya Valkyrie.
And Taya Valkyrie can go.
And that is John Morrison's wife. As some people may not know if you don't follow Impact. Former Impact Women's Champion. Multiple time over. An incredible talent, an incredible athlete.
Well, not only that, but you can also add in the fact that eventually you can get that Miz and Maurice versus Morrison.
And Taya, yeah. Which would be fantastic. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I mean, I would be a fan.
And Eli Drake has signed to NXT as LA Knight.
Such a shitty gimmick.
Is he like Jason Knight's nephew from ECW?
He come out with these big aviator glasses on, and it was just horrible.
He's going to be NXT's cleaner.
Yeah, probably.
I have no doubt. About it.
But speaking of NXT, we still have a minute or so left. I'd like to verbally give a retraction. Kyle O'Reilly, I announced on Pro Wrestling Throwdown's Facebook page, looked like he had a seizure after they had went off the air last Wednesday night. That is not the case. It was a cell. I'm not going to get into what that means because if you're watching this, you know what that means. However, I felt that if it was legit, it should have been mentioned, and because of the fact that it happened after the camera were off, I figured maybe it could have been legit. It was not legit. It has been debunked. But regardless, him being a type 1 diabetic and everything, it needed to be mentioned.
I agree. Guys, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave us a comment down below. What do you think about all of the pregnancies, the baby news, the second-generation superstars? We want to hear from
Bayley
you.
being single.
Send us an email to ProWrestlingThrowdown@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/ProWrestlingThrowdown. Follow us on Twitter at ProWrestlingTD. Stay tuned. We got more videos. We got tournaments. We got Elimination Chamber stuff. We got it's a good day.
I'm winning on the points.
Not for long.